Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're starting a new series, woohoo! And we're starting the Czech beer series because I've always wanted to do this because I've been watching over a period of time other reviewers going on about Czech beer and everything else and that, and going over there and doing the brewery tours and just, creaming their panties over it all and believing all the bullshit and hype. Um, and yeah, and my introduction, real proper introduction into Czech beer came from when I was living in Russia. And one of the major things was that one of the best beers from the Czech Republic actually gave license for their beer products to be actually brewed in Russia. Now, even though I've got to admit I've had them side by side and there's a slight difference, they're actually fairly close. So when I compared them, I actually expected that there would be a bigger difference than there was. It was actually very, very close. But it also showed you how tightly they were controlling it. Even though, yeah, you've got a license to brew it. Now, this beer, which we're not reviewing today, but we will be reviewing later on, because I want to get some other ones out of the way that are just, well, you understand, especially when I do this one today. That's why I'm talking about brewing things under license. There's a connection. But that gave me a different outlook towards Czech beers. And also the Czech beers that are popular in Russia are not the kind of mainstream stuff that's sold over here. And it was more interesting. So with the Czech beers that I was drinking in Russia, including the ones that were actually brewed there, especially a very famous and popular one. It's one of Czech Republic's really top beers, especially a lager, not a pilsner, and it's brewed. Well, it was brewed in Russia and sold really well everywhere. But what I did notice was that compared to certain well-known brands that we get in the UK, there's a lot of other really good beers that are unknown. And then, of course, you've got reviewers, YouTube reviewers that go over then to the Czech Republic, and all they do is follow the trend. So this is the beers we get in the UK. So when we go over here, this is the beers we're going to basically deal with. So we're going to do the brewery tour of basically, Pilsner Urquell, and we're going to go to Budweiser Budvar, and we're all going to cream our panties and how wonderful they are, and great, marvellous, and Saz hops, and and it just feels like you've missed a trick. You go over there, and there's so many really, really good beers that you've ignored and missed out on. You're thinking, you're fucking idiots. I mean, that's probably the best way of putting it. You're absolute fucking idiots. You've missed out a really good opportunity because what you've done is you've taken the easy option thinking, well, we can get this in the UK in a bottle or a can. So we'll go over there and, oh yeah, it's exactly the same as you get over here because it's brewed there, put in a bottle or a can and shipped over to the UK. So let's basically go through and see how wonderfully they actually brew it because it's such a great drink. And I'm doing this and hopefully I can maybe get some sort of collaboration with them and maybe make some money. Fucking seriously. So anyway, what we're going to be doing today is a Staropramen. There's a baby can. Look at that. Never seen a can that size in the Czech Republic. Just say. Most of them come in bottles rather than cans. But anyway, Staropramen. But this is a Staropramen that's actually brewed in the UK. Even though it says the spirit of Prague. Proudly brewed since 1869. Yeah, no, in this country though. So there you go. Now I've got two of these cans to kind of fill up the glass, and I've actually got the proper Staropramen glass as well. God knows why, but I do have the proper stuff on order coming from the Czech Republic, and it should be arriving in the next few days. And it's also going to be the high alcohol version as well. Hoo hoo hoo. So there we go. So yeah, we're going to do it properly. But I do also have some other really good Czech beers, including one of my favourites, and funnily enough, one of the Czech Republic's favourites as well. And it's not one of the mainstream. But anyway, so is there any spiel in this? This is brewed in Burton-on-Trent. So it's now I had to buy this as a pack of six. Pack of six, and it's something like £5.50 for the pack of six. I think that came from Sainsbury's or something like that. So basically, #1 Prague beer in the world, brewed with passion using the finest ingredients, including premium Czech hops, which will be Sass hops. And here it is, Staropramen Premium Lager, 5% volume, brewed in the UK by MCBC UK Limited, and of course it's Burton-on-Trent, apparently. So there you go. And it basically ingredient says water, barley, malted barley, hops, may contain traces of wheat. So there you go. And yeah, that's it basically. Woohoo! So yeah. Now, again, I've watched other YouTube beer reviewers, and they've actually reviewed this as supposed to be a Czech beer, which I don't really know how it's a Czech beer if it's brewed in the UK. Because, yeah, you might use the hops, but there's a big difference in the grains that are used, the malts that are used, and everything else. So to come out with this is just nonsense. But at the end of the day, let's crack it open and see what it's like. Oh, daddy's home. I've got the glass there, look at that. There we go. No cream of panties in this one. Now I'm not going to do the Czech pour because, well, I don't want to. Jesus, look at that. Although technically I could do the Czech pour due to the fact is that done in 2 cans. 2 can down. Anyway. But yes. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to kind of show people that, surprisingly enough, that there's actually, if you go to your local Czech beer shop, don't buy from online beer companies. What I've noticed is online beer companies, anything that even got a sniff of European beer on it, they up the price, and it's ridiculous. I've got stuff coming from the Czech Republic through a Czech beer shop, online Czech beer shop. They were very helpful and very accommodating in getting the stuff that I wanted to get. And price is normal. I mean, I'll be totally honest, most of the stuff I've ordered is actually under £2 a can. Now, I went for can because it's safer from that point of view, because it was coming from the Czech Republic with bottles, and you're increasing the chance of it going, you know. And I don't want just a handful of glass at the end of it and a floppy label. So yes, but what I did notice was that if you look at some of these other online beer suppliers, they're selling similar beers. If I want to get if I want a can of this Staropramen from the Czech Republic, what I'm getting it for from the actual Czech shop that sells lots of Czech products and not just the beer, and they're selling it for under £2 a can for a 500ml can, whereas these online beer supply shops, well, Jesus, they're £3, £3.50, and you think, you're thieving fuckers. You really are. You need to have a look at yourself. So my view is support the local shops and stay away from them. And yes, it's not difficult to actually get some really good Czech beers. And my view is I can put the links in below for the shop. I get nothing out of it. And if you want to go and try some of the beers from them, then yeah, go for it. So let's put the other one in. There we go. So yeah. So yes, getting good Czech beer isn't that difficult and isn't that expensive. But if you go the easy option and just buy, but yeah, I'll give you the links and the kind of information below, and it's up to you. I don't gain anything from it, and I'm not looking to gain anything from it. But if it helps you to get some nice, or helps you to try some nice Czech beers at a normal price and everything else, although you will have to pay delivery because you have to, I think it's free delivery for orders £100 or more, and trust me, unless you're having a party and a right good session, you're not going to be spending £100 on Czech beer. And if you are, where's my invite? But anyway, for people who know the podcast, it's a nice kind of clear golden beer. And quite effervescent, as you can maybe see, but I think there's slightly nucleated glass at the bottom of this, which wouldn't surprise me. I don't usually buy nucleated glasses, but of course I thought, well, I'll get this as part of the Czech beer series, because of course, sure enough, if I start doing it in normal glasses, people will be saying, oh, you're not using the right glass, and oh, it's a travesty. You think, aye, get up you. But anyway, smell wise, getting grain, light malt, light sweetness. That's all I'm getting. Maybe ever so slight earthy tones, ever so slight light earthy tones. And that's it. Funny enough, I'm not getting any smell of pepper, because again, if it's using Saaz hops, you'll get kind of slightly pepperiness to it, maybe a slightly spiciness to it, because that's one of the kind of major profiles of Saaz hops. I shouldn't get any bitterness in this at all if it's Saaz hops. But I should get a clean finish. So, let's see what it tastes like. Here we go. Right. It's a bit of a strange one. Now, I will actually compare this when I get the actual the Czech Staropramen over. I will do a comparison directly with the two. So when I'm doing the review of the actual proper Czech brewed stuff, I will have a couple of cans of this stuff to kind of as a comparison. But what I'm getting straight away is it's not a Czech beer. It doesn't have the flavour profiles of a Czech lager. And this isn't a Pilsner, is it? I don't think it is. It's just a standard lager. I'm sure it is. Because I'm sure Staropramen isn't a Pilsner. It's just a standard lager. If I remember rightly. Yeah, it's a lager. And the thing is, though, I'm not getting the standard flavours of a Czech lager. I'm getting some nice flavours, and if you can treat it as a kind of a more British style, more of a British style lager, then it's actually not too bad. It's quite drinkable, nice mouthfeel. It's got a clean finish, which I suppose is quite a good thing. Got nice kind of underlying sweetness, which again, of course, that also highlight about a Pilsner, because obviously you don't get so much sweetness in the Pilsner, Czech Pilsners, and you also get a little bit of bitterness there as well, which again you're not getting. But yeah, what's this saying here? Oh, here we go. There's some piss in the back of the glass here. You'll like this. In 1869, two visionary brewmasters. It's always visionary, isn't it? No, like two normal blokes, two hairy ass buggers. It's like, oh, they're all visionaries. Well, it's amazing, that, isn't it? How these visionaries always seem to come together and suddenly create a wonderful brewery with such a wonderful beer. But anyway, brewmasters set out to create a beer that would be better than the rest. Don't know why then you basically give a license to the UK to brew it there. Displaying true craftsmanship, Staropramen is brewed with passion using the finest ingredients including premium Czech hops and embodies the spirit of Prague in every sip. Yeah, maybe it does though, but I've tried Staropramen in a few bars in the Czech Republic. And I've always went for basically falling back on Kozel, to be totally honest. It's a far better beer. Far better beer. But this one, no, it doesn't really have the flavour profiles of a traditional Czech lager. It doesn't have the pepperiness, doesn't have the spiciness. It doesn't have the maltiness, is probably the best way of putting it. You get a bit more maltiness, so you would. The sweetness, again, maybe a bit too much than what it should be. It's a bit overly sweet. But in general, it's actually not a bad lager, but it's in no way, shape or form like a Czech lager. And if you were buying this to think, oh well, I like this so much like Czech lagers, trust me, you're not. This is like a kind of a imagine somebody doing a bit more of a premium mainstream piss water. So you imagine it's like a Carling, but kind of done with a bit maybe better ingredients and maybe a bit more care and attention. And yeah, you can maybe get something like this. And that's what it's like. I would probably say it's a more premium British lager there rather than a Czech lager. But it's okay. If you look at it as a Czech lager, it's quite disappointing. If you look at it as a lager in its own right, because it's supposed to be a Czech lager, but it's brewed in the UK, so we already know it's not really a Czech lager. So if you look at it as a kind of UK brewed lager, then yeah, it's actually not too bad. It's actually quite nice. So, you know, it's that kind of yin and yang depending on which angle you're coming at and how you're looking at it. But you can see, it holds its head well. And I think that was the main thing. I think it's a case as though that's a remit, is make a nice lager, make it kind of taste premium, and also make sure it's got good head retention. So make sure you've got plenty of polyphenols in there to help with that. Whew. So let's break down the flavours. Okay, light malt, a bit of grain at the front of the mouth, bags of sweetness. Move on to the mid-tongue, malt kind of slightly dies down, grain slightly dies down, but still the kind of, if you look at it, it's starting to become a more predominant flavour between the grain and the malt, which again slightly goes away because you should get a slightly bit more malt with a Czech lager. But the sweetness is still there. It's quite a decent level of sweetness. Too much for a Czech lager, too much for a lager in general, but it's not too sickening at the moment, and it seems to kind of work. It seems to be the sweetness is connected to the other flavours a bit more, so it's not too bad. Moves on to the aftertaste. And the flavours kind of dissipate quite quickly in the aftertaste. And that's what I mean by a clean finish, is that they're there, but they dissipate quite quickly in the aftertaste. So you're really left with a little bit of malt, a bit of grain, and that sweetness, and they all kind of like, there's no kind of like staged kind of dissipation. It's like they all just like, and that's it. We're finished. We're gone. So they kind of all kind of like dissipate at the same rate, just together, and that's it. And it just, it's a very kind of abrupt, kind of clean finish. So there's no lingering flavours whatsoever, which is quite strange for the sweetness, because you think, well, if the sweetness is one of the last flavours to dissipate, then you expect maybe a bit of lingering over it, but no, it just like, that's it. It's like somebody's flicking the switch, they've all buggered off, that's it, lights out, we're off home. But the sweetness is one of the main underlying flavours there, and it makes it kind of sessionable, a bit more drinkable. But with that sweetness, while it's kind of helping the beer along, it's also kind of dragging it away from the kind of Czech style because it's too sweet. Yeah. But as a beer in its own right, it's nice mouthfeel, easy drinking. Yeah, you could drink this quite easily. A very good session on it. So you could. There's a fire at the last of the can. Well, no point. You can't put it back in, can you? Once it's open, it's buggered. That's what I say anyway. But yeah, so from that point of view, as a Czech beer, no. As if you take it as more of a premium British beer, then yeah, it would work out from that aspect. And if you look at it from that kind of direction. But yeah, again, it's that old situation as a name, give it a name and say it's this, that, and the other, and it's no, it really isn't. So it'd be quite interesting to see how that compares to the original that's actually brewed in the Czech Republic. And that's why I'm doing this, is to kind of show you the difference and also show you that there's some really nice Czech beers out there that you probably have never heard of, and you probably would never hear of if you keep watching certain YouTube reviewers, because all they do is they take the easy option, it's all Budweiser, Budvar, and Pilsner Urquell, and oh, there we go, that's it, there you go. Well, there's two fucking beers in the Czech Republic, all the rest, they're all just little microbreweries, they don't matter. You're thinking, don't talk shit. Kozel is probably one of the most popular beers in the Czech Republic, and they actually did 2 licenses. They did one in Russia, and they also did one in Poland, because it's such a popular beer in the Czech Republic that the Russians know that Kozel is a very, very good beer in the Czech Republic, so they wanted it, and so did the Polish. And guess what? They were drinking in its droves in their countries, to the point is that it made life a lot easier by actually allowing it to be brewed under license in these countries, but also under strict control as well. And yeah, and it kept the demand going. And that's one of the things. Now the thing is, if I remember with Kozel, and we will be doing a few different Kozels from the Czech Republic, is that they're actually owned by Asahi. So they are. And again, it's like the same with brews that are owned by Asahi over here, is that Asahi tends to kind of think, well, let's not kind of piss about, leave them to make what they need to make. And I think Asahi's more kind of business kind of plan is to take these good beers, don't piss about them, but help with the marketing and the distribution into Asia and things like that. I think that's how they basically look at it. Think, well, these are good beers that we could basically promote and really boost the sales in Asia and introduce them into new markets, and that's where they kind of make their money from that aspect of the business. Well, without really kind of affecting their existing kind of markets in Europe. And if you look at certain ones like Fuller's and things like that in the UK, it seems to work. So yeah, fair play to them. But yeah, it's not a bad beer, but it ain't Czech. So what would I give this out of 10? Right. Out of 10, if I treated it like a Czech beer or a Czech lager, it ain't. So I would give it a 3. I'd give it a 3 if I was basically reviewing it as a Czech lager, because it doesn't have the certain flavour profiles that you would expect from a Czech lager. So no. If I look at it more as a premium British brewed lager, then and I'll give it a 5.5 because it's actually quite nice. The only thing is it's a bit too sweet for me. You could probably dial the sweetness back and probably got more marks. And if the aftertaste was a little bit more interesting, maybe with a slight bitterness to it or something like that. But because it's just kind of such a clean and abrupt kind of finish in the aftertaste, again, like, kind of lose a wee bit from that point of view. So yeah, so 3 out of 10 if I'm reviewing it as a Czech lager, 5.5 out of 10 if I'm reviewing it as a more premium British brewed lager. So my view, yeah, give it a go and try it. But what I will do is, as this series kind of moves on, is try some of the other proper Czech beers, and they're not that difficult to get hold of. I mean, you can order them at a normal price and they'll be in your fridge within a couple of days of ordering it, no problem at all. And at a normal price. That's one of the major things, at a normal price compared to a lot of these other thieving online kind of companies. I mean, there's one there, that Beers of Europe. I think that's absolutely brilliant. Beers of Europe. I mean, they should really change the name to Beers Out of Stock, because yeah, oh yeah, they can list all the beers. Oh, all the beers. Oh yes, yeah, Beers of Europe. They can list all the beers of Europe. Oh yeah, in their website. I would probably say 90% of the beers that are listed on their website are out of stock. I'd probably have never been in stock. I mean, it's just nonsense, to be totally honest. What the fuck are they going on about? And the prices they charge as well. So yeah, overpriced. And the thing was, I got Russian beers from there. Okay, they were dreadful, but they didn't have the good Russian beers. It was just the kind of the Baltica nonsense. And then any of the other stuff, no, we didn't have any of the kind of decent stuff, because they don't know about the decent stuff, obviously. But yeah, even looking at the Czech, I think they had Staropramen, Budweiser, Budvar, and Urquell, basically Pilsner Urquell, and you're thinking, and what? And then all this other stuff listed, the thing under the Czech beer thing, but all out of stock. You're thinking, what's the fucking point? Seriously, you've never even had these in stock. Because I'm saying, it's amazing how many times that I've tried to get beers from Beers of Europe. Oh, it's out of stock, right? Well, I'll try in a month's time. Oh, it's still out of stock. 2 months, still out of stock. You're never gonna get it in stock, are you? It's just all bullshit. But yeah, there's better ways, and of course, if you want, I will put that link down to the shop if you want to try some Czech beers. But this one isn't the Czech beer. So thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.